a kid in dusty sneakers, shooting hoops on a cracked driveway in a tiny Indiana town, long before the world knew his name. No spotlight, no guarantees, just sweat, silence, and a dream. That's where Larry Bird's story begins. But how does a boy from a broken home in a forgotten corner of America rise to become one of the NBA's greatest legends? Let's rewind to where it all started, because what Larry overcame before even stepping on a college court is what truly makes him legendary. Born in 1956 in West Baden, Indiana, a place most people couldn't find on a map, Larry's world was simple but tough. His father, Joe, was a construction worker with a drinking problem. His mom, Georgia, kept the family afloat working long hours in a diner. Money was tight, emotions ran high, and Larry needed an escape. That escape? Sports. He didn't care if it was basketball, baseball, or football. If it got him out of the house, he was in. In high school, he wasn't some instant prodigy. As a freshman, he barely got off the bench. Still, when he made the team, his dad gave him $20. It was probably one of the few proud father-son moments they had. A year later, a nasty ankle injury nearly derailed him, but instead of quitting, Larry got obsessed.
Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons. 5 seconds remaining, lead by 1. Watch this, love this. Take a 3-2 series lead. Bird intercepts Isaiah Thomas. Tips it back in to Dennis Johnson. DJ Heroics. Bird Heroics. #1 on the all-time greatest Larry Bird plays as we celebrate the infamous.
Even on crutches, he'd launch 200 shots a day. Then came the growth spurt. By senior year, Larry stood a towering 6 feet 7 inches, and he dominated with 31 points and 21 rebounds per game. It seemed like college ball was the next step, but life wasn't that simple.
Bird is on the baseline coming out right. There's Bird. Bird, 14 seconds, he got fouled. He hit the shot. They're not going to count it. And Bird.
He briefly tried Indiana University, but the massive campus, distance from home, and financial stress broke him. Just like that, he walked away. He floated for a bit, took classes at a local community college, and then he became a garbage man. Yeah, that Larry Bird, the future Celtic legend, was riding on the back of a trash truck in French Lick. And the wildest part? He loved it. The simplicity, the routine, the peace. It grounded him. But buried beneath that blue-collar grit was a fire that wouldn't go out. Larry wasn't done with basketball, not even close. And what came next? That's where the real climb begins. Just when it seemed like life was settling, tragedy struck Larry Bird in a way that would change him forever. In 1975, not long after stepping away from college, Larry's father, Joe Bird, made a devastating decision. Struggling with debt and alcoholism, Joe took his life. It shattered Larry. But even in the pain, he held on to a complicated sense of respect. His father, in a final act, had tried to spare the family from further burden. It was a wound Larry rarely spoke about, but one that fueled his quiet intensity for the rest of his life. If that wasn't enough, his personal life was falling apart too. Larry had married his high school sweetheart, but the marriage crumbled quickly. His ex-wife later barred him from seeing their unborn child, leaving him emotionally isolated. Everything around him seemed to be slipping away, but Larry wasn't done fighting. Then came redemption. Enter Bill Hodges, a persistent assistant coach from Indiana State who refused to take no for an answer. Hodges believed in Bird more than anyone else at the time and chased him relentlessly. Eventually, Larry gave in. He enrolled at Indiana State and stepped back onto the court. What followed was nothing short of electric. Larry Bird didn't just play, he dominated. As a junior, he averaged 33 points and 13 rebounds per game. His senior year was even more legendary. He led Indiana State to a perfect 33-0 season, carrying the underdog team to the NCAA championship game in 1979. It was David versus Goliath, Bird versus Magic Johnson. Though Larry's team lost, the game drew 35 million viewers, a record that still stands. More importantly, it ignited one of the greatest rivalries and friendships in sports history. Bird may have lost that game, but he won something bigger, the world's attention. And just like that, the quiet kid from French Lick wasn't just back. He was on the verge of becoming a basketball icon. And the NBA? It had no idea what was about to hit it. When the Boston Celtics selected Larry Bird with the 6th pick in the 1978 NBA draft, it raised more than a few eyebrows. Red Auerbach made a bold gamble. Bird was still in college, and most teams would rather not wait. But Red saw something others didn't, a generational talent worth the risk. The gamble paid off. Bird signed a record-setting rookie deal at $650,000 per year, the highest ever at the time, and immediately made his presence felt.
28 seconds, Bird, slap pass to Archibald.
Beneath him and probably with a little off balance.
Bird with the steal behind the back to Nate Archibald, back to
The impact was instant. The Celtics had won just 29 games the season before Bird arrived. With him, they skyrocketed to a 61-21 record. That kind of turnaround doesn't just happen. Larry didn't just fit in. He changed everything. His grit, passing, shooting, and leadership transformed Boston's culture overnight. He edged out Magic Johnson for Rookie of the Year, and the NBA quickly realized it had a new star and a new rivalry. But Larry Bird didn't just show up, he dominated. In 1981, he helped the Celtics capture their first NBA title of the decade, taking down the Houston Rockets.
Princeton brings it down. You see 2 seconds, 1, and the world champion, the Boston Celtics.
He didn't win Finals MVP. Cedric Maxwell got that honor, but the league knew who the real engine was. Then came 1984, the year everything aligned. Bird won both the regular season MVP and the Finals MVP, besting Magic Johnson and the Lakers in a grueling 7-game war. The rivalry between Bird and Magic wasn't just about two players, it was the rebirth of the NBA. And in 1986, Bird hit his absolute peak. He won another MVP, led Boston to another championship, and became just the third player to achieve the rare 50-40-90 shooting split. Bird versus Magic, Celtics versus Lakers. It wasn't just basketball, it was a cultural reset. And Larry? He was the blue-collar king right at the center of it all. Larry Bird's legacy isn't just built on stats and rings. It's etched into NBA lore through unforgettable moments that define grit, confidence, and swagger. One of the greatest trash talkers ever, Bird had a gift for letting opponents know exactly what was coming and still making it happen. He once told his defender he was going to hit the game winner left-handed, then casually drained it just as promised. That wasn't bravado. It was Bird's version of psychological warfare. In the 1986 three-point contest, Bird walked into the locker room, looked around and said, "Who's coming in second?" Then he walked onto the court, didn't even bother taking off his warm-up jacket and won the contest. Ice cold. And that 60-point game in 1985. Against the Hawks, Bird got so hot the opposing bench started cheering for him. Their players were laughing and falling off their seats while Bird torched them from everywhere on the court. Despite a dislocated finger that permanently altered his shooting form, Bird never complained. He often claimed he was a better shooter back in college. Just another testament to how much he demanded from himself. No excuses. But even legends are human. In 1985, Bird hurt his back shoveling gravel for his mom's driveway. Why not hire someone? That wasn't Bird's style. He grew up working hard and no fame or fortune changed that. But the injury lingered, haunting him for the rest of his career. Before games, he had to undergo spinal realignment therapy. After games, he'd lie flat on the floor for hours. Still, he kept playing, fighting through pain until his body simply couldn't take it anymore. From 1988 to 1992, Bird's decline was slow but evident. Finally, in 1992, the man who never quit finally had to. Off the court, Bird's humility set him apart. While other stars chased luxury, Larry drove basic cars, wore plain clothes, and avoided the spotlight whenever possible. He once bought a championship ring for a Celtics staff member who had passed away, because that's who he was: loyal, thoughtful, and grounded. His work ethic was legendary. Inspired by his father's struggles and sacrifice, Bird lived by one rule: play through pain. He did that for over a decade and changed the game in the process. By the time he retired, Bird had earned 3 straight MVP awards, 1984 to 86, 3 NBA championships, and 2 Finals MVPs. He was a 12-time All-Star and the first player to join the elite 50-40-90 club, shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line in a single season.
Trophies that are going to be awarded to the MVPs of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. In the East, it'll be called the Larry Bird Trophy, and in the West, that will get the Magic Johnson Trophy.
Wow.
So we wanted to let you all know that, and it's something that I hope you find special, but from this day forward, those conference finals MVPs will be known as the Larry Bird Trophy and the Magic Johnson Trophy.
Well, thanks, Mark. I just wish I could win one of them Magic Johnson trophies. That'd be a highlight of my career.
His career averages: 24.3 points, 10 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. But numbers don't tell the full story. Larry Bird was the embodiment of heart, hustle, and hard work, a blue-collar king in a superstar's world. Larry Bird wasn't just a basketball legend. He was a symbol of heart, hustle, and humility. If his story inspired you, drop a like, share your favorite Bird moment in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more legends who changed the game forever. Thanks for watching.